Okay, if you want to do something like this in Excel, here I just made up a similar data set. It's not the same numbers, but similar data set. So you just go to Insert, and then there are a lot of charts here. You can use a recommended chart, or you can just click any of them here. Let's see. So you can either choose the recommended one. So here's a recommended one. We can go to all, like that. You can get many different types, but if we just stick with the recommended, we have this one, I guess, which is here. And click OK, and we get that. So that's basically what they showed us as the frequency distribution. And again, if we want to do it again, we can go to Insert again. And this time we can try recommended. And this one, we get that. Now it doesn't label them. So if you want to get the, we can move around here and you can see what the labels are. But I guess you have to right click on it and do some other stuff in here to get the labels on these pieces. Those are probably optional. And then if you want to get the relative frequency, then you might, first you're going to need to know the total number of elements here, because remember we had to divide each of these by the total number. You can get the total number by going to the Home ribbon and then going over here to Auto Sum. This is one way to do it. And just click Auto Sum, or you can choose from the options here. But we want the sum. You could get the average and these things, but we just want the sum. So we'll go here and hit enter. So the total is 30. So now we can do, we can write equals. You have to write equals this divided by this. Okay, and that will give you the relative frequency for that one. And then you could do equals this divided by this again. And that will give you that one. Now, you might want to just drag this down. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. Watch. When I drag this down, I get these, which don't seem to work. The reason is because when I drag it down, it's calculating. So let's check this. This one was D3 divided by D8. That's good. This one was, oh, sorry, here's D3 divided by D8, right? This is D8. That's what we wanted. Here, this one is what? D4 divided by D8. That's also what we want. D4 is here, divided by this one, D8. That's what we want. But here, when we do this, what's it doing? D5, we do want D5, and it's dividing by D9. That's not what we want. We want it to keep dividing by D8. So when you do this kind of dragging down, when I click here and I drag down, or if I click here and I drag down, it increments not only the so the 4 becomes a 5, right? You see let me show you that again. The 4 becomes a 5. That's good. But the 8 becomes a 9. That we don't want. We want that 8 to stay 8. So now it's 9. We don't want that. In fact, here it becomes 10, and here it becomes 11. We don't want any of those because that's here, here, and here. We don't want any of those. So what you need to do in order to get Excel not to do that is it's kind of a strange thing, but put a $sign in front of that, the thing that you don't want to change. So I don't want the 8 to change when I drag down using this kind of drag down process. Now, if I use the $sign in front of there, it still works here. It's still going to give me the right number. If I hit enter, that's the same number that we had before. So basically it ignores the $sign except for the dragging down function where it keeps it constant. So now if I drag down, I get what I wanted because this is still 8. This one is also still 8. And this one is also still 8. So now it works. And in fact, we can check by taking the sum of these. Since these are the percentages, the sum should add up to 1. So let's make sure. Just click here and click enter, and it's 1. Okay, so we can, then we could also make a bar graph with this data. I guess might be good to So one thing you might want to do is delete this column, but that's going to, well, let's do it. Watch. When we delete this column, the other one is going to get messed up. Why is it going to get messed up? Because when I delete this column, the calculations were based on this column, and this column is going to disappear. So this is, we're going to have an error in this column, but let's just see that. So go to here and delete. It says we're referring to something that's wrong. So let's undo that here. And what you can do instead is, so we have these values, we calculated them. You can copy them and then repaste them back in here, but not as the formula, but just the values themselves. So once I do this, which I'm going to do like this pasting here repastes just the values. So once I do that, now if I check in these cells, I don't have those formulas anymore, I just have the values. So it's not a formula anymore. Now, if I delete this, I won't get that problem, hopefully. I seem to have a problem, but oh well, let's just leave it. Okay, it seems like it's right. This, of course, doesn't seem to be good. I don't know what happened here. But we can try now to make, let's give this a name. Let's call this relative frequency. And we can do this and make it insert a chart. This time, it's going to look pretty similar to the other one here. But these are going to be percentages now. Before they weren't percentages. Okay, so you can do this kind of thing in Excel.